Hello friends, and thank you for watching videos on this channel. I've received private messages asking me to illustrate narcissistic family behaviors, including narcissistic parents and golden child siblings. I'll provide my own personal experiences as narcissistic family survivor. Let's get to it. I'll highlight events are from my early childhood until today. From 5 to 12 years old, I was physically abused by my sister, more than 12 years older than me, who would grab my head holding my hair, and she would spin me around about 12 to 15 times until my scalp started to bleed. Then, she would toss me around. When I landed, I usually had my skull or spine hurt due to the impact on a wall or a column. At that time, I would go to my father and cry for help, just to watch him look at the television complaining I was blocking his view from the television commercial. I could not believe on that. My mother, when she got upset about something I had nothing to do with, would get a kind of Dutch shoes, wooden made, and throw at me several times. She would only stop when she had successfully hit my head or my back. Despite blood and bruises, no one cared. Everybody believed on the story tale my psychotic family would tell them, just as effectively as psychopaths lure their targets. Thankfully, I had a family who had migrated from Japan, with their son and daughter, with the same age, and I was, with whom I spent as much time I could with them. My first religion was Buddhism, and I learned to enjoy their company and food at their home. They were like my guardian angels, as they saved me from possible worse things at that time. My brother, more than 9 years older than me, along with my sister, would constantly tell me I was a piece of garbage, I was found by the trash, I was adopted, and I was not part of that family, and never would be. When I was in school, I was completely scared. My worst nightmare was going to school because I started to experience difficulty talking about myself. I remember that when I saw my classmates happy with their families, I could not understand why I was being tortured at home. One day, at the beach, 2 girls approached me with a box full of kittens. Wow! I looked at them and I immediately liked a kitten. They told me I could have it if I promised I would care for her. I said yes with a big thank you smiling face. I went home with Kika, the name I gave to my new friend. For 5 days I was at the beach with Kika. I had so much fun with her. Even though she was a kitten, she would follow me wherever I went. We played hide and seek and catch. Amazing cat. When we returned to the city, I was so happy with my new friend. I started to think that things would get better for me. When we arrived, the Luciferian family told me to take the bags upstairs. I said I would take Kika first, and then I would come back for the bags. They manipulated me to believe they got her, and would bring Kika upstairs. When I looked for Kika, I could not find her. I asked where she was, but I was just giving a smirk with, "By the way, Kika run away." I went downstairs and ran through the streets looking for her, just to see her agonizing, tossed on a curbside. I held her just to see Kika looking at me before her last grasp of air, and then she died on my arms. When I mention that narcissistic families are dangerous, I hope you start getting the message. This video won't have enough time to detail all the events, so I'll highlight them for you. From 13 to 18 years old, the level of emotional torture had reached a new high. 1. I always liked to have a pet, most likely due to my need to be loved. The demons would lure me into lies about having a pet somewhere at home. Of course, they would laugh at my desperate attempt to find a non-existent dog, labeling me as a blind, stupid, and worthless kid. 2. My brother had decided I had to have sex with a woman. You heard me right. Because I didn't comply with his delusional idea, with all the remaining toxic family watching him kick me around the hallway with boots. I still have the scars on my back from that. 3. I have had 2 other dogs I adopted. All were murdered by the demonic family. According to them, this was a lesson I needed to learn. 4. I got into college just to hear from the demon itself, the father, asking me how I would pay for it. At the same time, he was giving a new home to my sister besides the 3-bedroom apartment she was already given by him, cars, and a motorcycle to her husband. My brother was also being given several tens of thousands of dollars to get his master's in the USA, of course, after he was given 2 homes, cars, and the entire college paid in full, just like my sister did. 5. During Christmas, I had to wear a stupid Santa Claus costume to my sister's twin sons, current major psychopaths with active police records. In case I did not conform, I was told consequences were coming to me. 6. Mother leaves father and I'm denied food, clothing, and health care. Basically, I'm denied to be able to live during the next 3 years. 7. When I was by the bus stop to catch a bus to go to college, in the middle of a harsh winter, my father would drive by me on my brother's car on his way to have lunch with my sister at a restaurant and splash me with dirty water from the curbside. How did I hold on? You ask. I got pneumonia and was treated by a veterinarian who was a friend of mine. That was all I could afford. From 19 years old to today. 1. When I was 19 years old, turning 20, I decided to change my studies from information technology to medicine. At that time, my family offered whether or not I would like to study in the USA. After all I've been through, I was not very interested with the offer. Also, I just bought my first car. Then my brother approaches me as a spokesperson to the family to tell me, in confidence, that the offer was legitimate and I should really think it over. At that time, I was driving the demonic family pretty mad because I was not falling for the trap set forth by the narcissists. 2. Finally, my father brings home a slut called Jonah. She is a typical image from hell, very old and narcissist, of course, women all wrinkled up but pretending she is a teenager. I told you, the image from hell. Especially if you happen to wake up and see this creature wearing a tongue bikini after you'd spent the night trying to sleep while you could hear dad and the cunt fucking. Well, again, a new level of psychosis is presented to me. 3. At that time, my mother starts an affair with her attorney handling the separation. The attorney, of course, is a complete ass, as I had meetings with him to see what the fuck was going on. 4. While my mother was giving all the money she had to the attorney, who was just stalling the case in line with my father's request to strip her clean down to the last cent. At home I was denied to cook, to leave my room, and to have friends visiting me. I had to cramp my studio in my room and install double locks on the door. 5. Sister and brother were calling me every week to say that I had to stand ground and fight daddy's bitch. This ended up on the night before my medical school entrance exams to have to defend from my father's physical attacks. I knew I could take him down. The anger I felt was to take him down for good. However, I was not, and I am not, part of the clan. I would not stain my hand with diabolic blood. I defended myself from the puckings the old man threw at me, cutting myself open and spilling my blood. I left to my brother's house and, on his door, I asked if he was proud with his ancestors' narcissistic suggestion for me to hold ground and defend the house against Jonah. Obviously he and his psychologist wife, who did not express the slightest emotion, just to smirk. Is that a nice touch to the level of psychosis of a narcissistic family, or what? 6. Things were getting really bad to the point I started considering taking the offer to go to the USA to study medicine. I took all the exams required by the universities, and I was accepted at University of Wisconsin. 7. A week before departure, I sold my studio, including my car, to a guy who had arrived from London. The day I was closing the deal, my twisted brother comes from other town to beg me not to sell my car because he would buy it. He cried, implored, and promised he would pay me next week. The day before going to the airport to catch a flight to New York and on to Madison, my psychopathic father approached me and handed me $1,600 for my new life. What? Yes, $1,600 to study medicine in the USA. 8. I've never received a cent from my car that was stolen by the demonic clan. 9. Needless to say, I wasn't able to go far on a $1,600 budget, which ended by just enrolling on few credits. 10. From there, they accomplished their delusional goals of letting me homeless and en route for destruction, hopefully suicide. 11. Well, I've managed to survive to witness even more horrendous behaviors. In summary, they needed to complete a real estate development that was halted by the law due to the wrongdoings of Dad and his whore Jonah. I organized everything, including financial, marketing, structural, renovation, legal, and contractual planning and activities. The project was a success. My sister and her travel agency was used for money laundering, so that they've disappeared with the profit, going all to Jonah's family, to sister, and to her 2 sons, who got 3 cars, motorcycle, and real estate, and to brother. I was left with absolutely nothing. Just angst, sadness, and cancer. 12. Currently I've awakened to all this situation, and I'm breaking free for all and once. It's not easy, but I need to do it. The story doesn't end here. It just ends this part. This is to give you an idea. Unfortunately, most people, school counselors, social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists don't know enough about real narcissistic families. Us, people who are narcissist survivors, seldom find support from them, further aggravating the healing process. The objective here is to create a wake-up call to people out there about this. Narcissists can and will destroy people's lives whenever they feel happy about doing so. They are worse than psychopaths. They will try to kill you, slowly consuming you from inside out to total depersonalization. Thank you for watching, and let me know your comments. I may continue to further tell this horrendous true story.